Introduction. Sometimes words are easy to write but too hard to share. This is the story of a letter I wrote but could never send, and the feelings I carried for months. Story. It was a quiet evening when I decided to write the letter. The sun had set, and the sky was full of soft orange and pink colors. The wind blew gently, and I could hear leaves rustling outside my window. I sat at my small desk with a notebook in front of me, a pen in my hand, and my heart heavy with feelings I could not say aloud. I had been thinking about him for weeks. His name was Daniel. We met at school, and he quickly became my closest friend. We shared jokes, stories, and small secrets. He was kind, always smiling, and had a way of making every day feel lighter. I liked him more than I should have, but I was too afraid to tell him. The letter was my only way to say what I felt. I started slowly writing, erasing, and writing again. Dear Daniel, I began, my hand shaking slightly. I wrote about our friendship, the times we laughed together, and the moments when he made me feel safe. I wanted him to know how much he meant to me. As I wrote, I remembered every moment we had shared. The time we studied together for the big math test, the time he helped me carry my books when it rained, and the time we sat by the lake, talking for hours about our dreams. Each memory made me smile, but it also made my heart ache. I wrote carefully, choosing each word. I wanted him to understand my feelings, but I did not want to scare him. I wanted the letter to be gentle, honest, and full of warmth. I wrote about how much I valued our friendship, and how I hoped it would last forever, no matter what. Hours passed, and the letter grew longer. I poured all my feelings into the words. I wrote about my fears, my hopes, and my dreams. I wrote about the nights I stayed awake thinking about him. I wrote about how I wished I could tell him face to face, but my courage was not enough. When I finished, I read the letter again and again. Each time my heart beat faster. The words were perfect, or at least I thought so. They were full of honesty and love, and they came straight from my heart. But when I looked at the envelope, I froze. I could not send it. My hands shook as I held the letter. What if he did not feel the same? What if he thought I was strange or silly? What if sending it ruined our friendship? My mind filled with questions, doubts, and fears. I left the letter on my desk and went to bed that night. I could not sleep. I kept thinking about Daniel, the letter, and what could happen if he read it. My feelings were strong, but my fear was stronger. I realized that sometimes love is quiet, and sometimes it cannot be shared, even if your heart wants it to. The next day I tried to act normal. I smiled at Daniel, joked with him, and talked about school like always. No one could know what I had written. The letter stayed on my desk, waiting for me to find courage. But day after day I could not do it. The envelope stayed sealed. Weeks passed, and the letter grew heavy in my mind. I carried it with me everywhere, in my bag, in my pocket, in my thoughts. Every time I saw Daniel, my heart beat faster. I wanted to tell him, but the words caught in my throat. I wished he could read my mind, but he could not. One afternoon, I decided to write a second letter. I wanted to make it better, clearer, more honest. I sat at my desk, the first letter next to me, and started writing again. But the more I wrote, the more I realized I could never send it. My feelings were too deep, my fear too strong. I kept both letters hidden in my drawer. I never showed anyone. I never mentioned them. But writing them helped me. It helped me understand my heart. It helped me feel closer to Daniel, even if he did not know. It gave me courage, even if I could not share it. Months passed. Daniel and I stayed friends. We laughed, studied, and shared small moments. He never knew about the letters, but I felt a secret connection through the words I had written. I realized that sometimes love does not need to be spoken. Sometimes the act of feeling and understanding is enough. One day, I took the letters out of my drawer. I read them again. My heart ached, but I smiled too. The letters were my secret, my truth, my way of loving quietly. I knew I could never send them, and that was okay. They had served their purpose. They had helped me grow, understand my feelings, and appreciate the power of words. Even now, years later, I remember those letters. I remember the nights I stayed awake, writing and thinking, and the mornings when I tried to act normal. I remember the fear, the hope, and the quiet love I carried. And I know that some things are meant to be kept in the heart, not sent in an envelope. That day and every day I wrote, I learned something important. Love is strong, even when it is quiet. Words are powerful, even when unsent. Feelings are real, even when hidden. And sometimes the greatest courage is knowing when to keep a secret in your heart. The letters taught me patience, understanding, and hope. They taught me that some truths do not need an answer. They do not need a reply. They simply need to exist to remind us of who we are and what we feel. I never sent the letters and Daniel never knew. But I do not regret writing them. They changed me. They helped me understand my heart. They helped me grow, love, and wait. And that, I think, is one of the most important lessons in life. Even today when I see Daniel, I feel the same quiet love I wrote about in the letters. I smile, I laugh, and I cherish our friendship. And deep in my heart, I know that the letters, though unsent, are part of our story too. Some days stay in your memory forever. This is one of those days. The day I wrote a letter I could never send, but the letter helped me understand love in a way I never could before.